Hi, my name is Christina Martin, and I am doing our case study on EDL 852. So, our demographics are the Lightville Community School District is a rural community made of 60% farmers, two schools that have K through 6 and 7 through 12. They're within 10 miles of a major city, which is important to know because some people have very important jobs in the city and they like to come home to a quiet country. Land values and demographics have caused an influx of new families. Population growth of 2% a year over the past 25 years. 2% may not sound like a lot, but over 25 years, they've doubled in population. School board members promoted the idea of a brand new building to alleviate overcrowding. Middle school or no middle school? That's the question. The first thing that needed to happen was a survey by their superintendent, Joe Rawlings. He came up with 3 solutions: to add an addition to the junior senior high and move 6th graders, to add an addition to both the schools, to build a new middle school, and pull students from both of the schools and alleviate their overpopulation. The landowners argued that they shouldn't be getting into more debt until the last one was previous schools was paid off. That would be in 9 years. Certain options were cheaper and would cause only a low tax increase. New residents that had invested interest, younger kids, supported the superintendent. Of course, if you have younger children that are going to a brand new school, you're going to support it. If you're an older couple and you don't have any interest in it, you're not going to want to pay more taxes for schools that aren't going to affect you. There has not been any ethical issues, but communication and voting to make sure the whole community is on board with the decision was made. So that was a good idea. With a close margin of 53% to 47%, the school district conducted a referendum to build a new middle school. It would be comprised of 450 students from grades 6 through 8. It would be built within 18 months on the same land as the other schools. A principal will be hired a year prior to opening the building to get all the processes started, and hiring began. A selection committee was comprised of teachers, current principals, parents, and superintendent to hire the incoming principal. Susan Potter was hired. She came from a suburban school district where she was a middle school assistant principal. The tasks she was given for the first year were hiring staff, which came easy because a lot of the new staff, or a lot of the already established staff in the older buildings, wanted to come to her. Organizing curriculum, extracurricular activities, and instructional approaches. So she had to figure out what program she was going to offer. Collaborating with architects for progress meetings and involvement in equipment and furniture acquisitions. So this goes into prioritizing information on how important it was to have a new principal before the school opened in order to get all these things settled prior. My principal is currently going through this process. We are opening a new school in August, and she is always at meetings trying to figure out new things that are coming up within the new building. So she came up with an advisory committee. I'm not sure, it didn't really elaborate on how they came up with the advisory committee, so that might be an issue that we need to talk about in the future. Ms. Potter, with a guidance from superintendent and school board, put together the advisory committee. So from what that sounds like is they just took people that they wanted on the committee and put them together. It consisted of 4 teachers, 4 principals, and the principal decided she did not want to be the chair. Ms. Potter called it the Visioning and Planning Committee. Her guidelines were each member votes on decisions. So she wanted to be like a democracy, but each decision should be a consensus that all find acceptable. Need to develop vision statements that reflects beliefs of members and community, and all stakeholders will be given the opportunity to make suggestions. So there's a question that says, is there too much emphasis being placed on the development of a vision statement prior to the opening of a school? I do not feel too much emphasis is being placed on the development of the vision statement before the school opens, because that's the time that we need to get it done. According to Kuligowski 2023, defining your values not only express your authenticity, but also encourages your team to do the same. creating a shared vision for all coworkers. So Helen Burke was chosen as the chair of the committee. She was a teacher. She is a sister of a board member, and her brother was the only farmer who voted to build the new school. He had quite a bit of influence on her. She agreed to be the chair. She showed her support for the principal, but she had no intentions of coming up with a vision statement. She was influenced by her brother, who told her to let the principal be the leader and the visionary. She also talked about having time limit, so maybe she didn't volunteer for this position, and she had no confidence that the rest of the board would agree on any visions that they came up with. So she sees the principal as being the visionary leader and coming up with the statements. Ms. Potter, however, figured that the vision should be of all the stakeholders. The committee and the community should promote beliefs and hopes, and decisions shouldn't be made by her alone, and she doesn't want to be followed blindly. It says, why would it be valuable for a school leader to poll stakeholders and the purpose of education when developing a vision and goals? Stakeholders have vested interest in their community. Obviously, stakeholders have children that are going to your building, going to your school, and they want to see them get the best education that they could possibly get. A school leader should poll them to find out what their value for the children. What do they value? Do they value extracurricular activities? Do they value after school programs? Do they value free and reduced lunches? The leaders should know what to expect, what expectations are given to the schools from their communities. Why is it important to develop and implement a vision and goals? Vision statements describe high levels of goals and clarity for the school's future. It brings teachers and students together in order to know what they're working on to accomplish in the future. What should be the relationship between a vision statement and a mission statement? A mission statement is all about how the school operates. It is the now, the purpose and what they do and how. But the vision statement is the goal for future reality. How will they get there? So here came some of the turmoil. Ms. Potter wanted the committee to come with the vision statements, and Ms. Burke felt it was her job as the principal to formally come up with a statement and have it approved. So what happened? After their first meeting, Helen and the principal met. Ms. Potter knew that she had to bring the intentions to the whole committee, that Helen would not feel comfortable doing so. She was taking her brother's advice and trying to make the principal the leader. There was no way she was going to create a vision statement that included the community without their inputs. According to Leon 2022, then it's time to put your plan into action and monitor progress to determine whether or not this decision was a good one. Obviously, if you see in the little clip art, she didn't feel like this was a good decision, and she would come back and present it to the community again. I liked when she said, the new middle school is not mine, it is ours. Therefore, we have the duty to shape its future. So what is the definition of a visionary leader? A visionary leader, I feel, when we taught our third graders to visualize, we taught them to make a mind movie. What do you envision for the future? So a visionary leader is someone who sets a goal and can visualize steps on how to make that goal become reality and put those steps into place. At several points, Helen alludes to the community's expectations of administrators. Are these expectations typical of those found in most school systems? I think it depends on who the leader is. I had a previous principal who would do everything on her own. Everything was set on her. She made all the goals. Actually, we didn't even know the mission goal because she never discussed it. She was a very straightforward principal that did everything on her own. She didn't delegate. And so now we have a new leader who just came into the building. She didn't want to come in and take away the teacher's autonomy. And so we all have a say in what goes on in our building. And she delegates according to our strengths and like what we bring to the table. What types and sources of data can be used to determine or provide support for a school's vision and goals? The first thing that we need to analyze are our demographics. Who are we trying to reach? Where are children coming from? What kind of families? Do they have running water? Do they have clean clothes? Are they eating breakfast or lunch? Or, do they need a backpack program on Fridays where they have food for the weekend? The next thing we need to look at is their attendance. How can we ensure that the kids are in school? Because if they're in school, we know that they're eating, we know that they're cared for, and we know that they're learning. When they're not in school, we have no control over what happens. Then we need to look at their student achievement. We need to look at the screeners that we've given them. We need to look at their CAP scores. We need to look at whether our data is improving or not improving, and how we're going to meet the needs of our students, especially through COVID. Our students have so many gaps that we need to fill. And through our assessments and our screeners, we can figure out where we can start. Why is it necessary to use data when planning to implement a vision statement? Looking at achievement and comparing to the district will allow us to measure goals to thrive for. If we don't have anything to work for, then what's the point of a vision? And data is going to tell us what our specific needs are in order for us to meet the needs of the students or to fill the gaps that they have. Why is it necessary to involve others in developing and implementing a vision and goals? Well, it's important because we're not the only ones that have children in the building, and we need to know what our community wants or needs from us as a building. I think missing information is, how are they communicating with more than just the committee members? How are they getting their information out to stakeholders, to the rest of the population? Did we have a variety of socioeconomic backgrounds represented? I don't think so, because they said there was 4 teachers and 4 parents. Well, 4 parents, how can that represent a big diverse population? Places. Where can the community gather in order to feel safe with expressing their values? Obviously, the new school was not built. So where can they go? Maybe a public library or a community center where they can go and share their ideas of what their vision of the school's future will be. Programs. Data was the biggest evidence missing, and what they used to gather and evaluate data throughout the year. What new programs will the school include to help students meet standards? Will they have Avid? Will they have tutoring? Will they have sports? All of these pieces could be vital in having all of these missing pieces could be vital in having a draft of the vision statement, and could possibly help guide them to see what their goal would be. According to the case, the committee has considered 2 proposals for developing a mission statement. The one proposed by Helen and the one proposed by Susan. Are there any alternatives? I think another proposal would be to find stakeholders that were comfortable and had the time to contribute to the committee. I also think that showing them examples of some statements, so the principal could have brought to the table some examples and made the committee feel a little bit more comfortable, like they weren't on their own. According to Indeed 2022, Ms. Potter knew that it was important to encourage contributions and keep the process cooperative and inclusive to all team members. So, an action plan and the vision development, what I would do. I will explore the diversity of the community. I will form a committee that represents all families and not just the majority, with people volunteering their time. So nobody feels like they are pressured to do anything they don't have to do. I will gather data that reflects the students' needs, screeners, CAP, possibly even demographics. I will use technology to get information out to the community and invite them to all the meetings. So in my building, I'm the Facebook coordinator. So we put a lot of stuff out on Facebook, and it's a quick and easy way. We know who's responding and who's not getting the information. We also have a school webpage, which isn't visited quite as much. I will show examples of what good collaboration looks like and set norms for meetings. I will emphasize the importance of respecting others' opinions and being able to disagree like adults. I would meet with specific people on concerns I have for my vision as a leader, especially like the board member who is trying to put his ideas into place, and maybe discuss with them how important it is for me to include all members. Ideas would be compiled and discussed, and then a vote would be taken. Um, One of the last questions says, what are the advantages and disadvantages of the new principal following the wishes of the committee regarding the procedure? The advantage would be that she isn't ruffling any feathers and the community is taking on the work herself. The disadvantages would be she doesn't know the community because she came from a suburban community and she doesn't know much about an urban area. Um, she doesn't know what they value and what they're looking for in their child's education. Coming up with a statement on her own would make her the only one invested in it. It doesn't have buy-in if they don't have a common goal. Um, how would they learn more about the importance of a vision statement? So a vision statement provides the way as the school grows and evolves to best serve the students. Well-written vision statements can guide schools through decision making, and community members should have a vested interest. If you don't have any interest in what's going on in your building, then why should anybody else? My capacity to lead implementation. I would be the best person to lead the process because I believe in the results. I believe by including all the stakeholders and community, we will reach the best goals that we want our schools to achieve. I believe as a community, the vision statement will be our guide to our everyday activities and our vision for the future, for our future accomplishments. By allowing the community to see that I have the best interest of the children in our school, the parents will feel confident that our school will produce citizens that will be prepared for an ever-changing future. Pros and cons. There's going to be pros and cons to everything that we come up with. So the pros are you include the whole community. It's data driven, so you have something to measure from the beginning to the end. Input is taken from the community and use of social media. The cons of it is sometimes the community is not very diverse and people are set in their ways, and they really want you to handle everything that's going on. Here's my reference page, and I did put quotes in from other modules that I felt that were pertinent to the case study.